Hello, this is Gary at Jack Raven Bushcraft. Thank you for watching our video. This week I'm going to show you how to tie a square lashing. Typically when I'm out in the woods doing my bushcraft, I try to be careful about my cordage use. So it is a precious resource, it's a valuable resource, so I try not to have to use cordage unless I have to. So for example, I've done videos in the past around debris shelters, and so there I use a few simple design principles that mean I don't need to use up the cordage. With that said, there are times when you do need to use it. So a lashing, or knowing how to do a lashing for those times, might be a good thing. So we're going to look at a square lashing now. It's really useful for putting two spars together, lashing two spars together at 90 degrees to each other. My first experience with lashings was as a scout many years ago. I left the Scouts, I joined the Army. I was in the Royal Engineers, a combat engineer. And when I did my combat engineer training, we were issued this particular manual, or one of them. This is our Basic Combat Engineering Skills, Part 1. And it starts at the very beginning. However, what it does contain, which I thought I would just show you, is a section here on how to tie various lashings. So this page we've got square lashings, the next page diagonal lashing. So I have two spars here that I wish to lash together. I'm going to fasten them together, and I want to fashion them together like this in a cross shape, so that we got one spar vertical, one spar horizontal. So a potential example where this might be useful, if I wanted to make some kind of a raised platform to get me off the ground, so perhaps an improvised bed of some description, where I need this sort of shape. I've laid the two spars on a table here just so that we can see what's going on. So to start off our square lashing, what I need to do is tie a clove hitch here. So if, for instance, I was going to have this as a working platform, I would have this part onto the ground, this part upwards, and so I might want to tie my clove hitch here, so below the weight bearing spar. So if I put a clove hitch in, so that's relatively simple. I'll go around it, around the spar, around again, and so that I form a cross here. So a very definite cross at this point. So I just pop that under the cross, pull it tight, like so. And that's my clove hitch. Now I'm just put this back on top, and what I need to do now is go so over here like that, underneath like so, and then back over the top like that. So I want to keep that nice and tight. Now what I'll do is back underneath again like so. It's a little fiddly to get going. Once you've got a few turns on it, it all kind of binds together a little bit better. So now I'm going to go back over the top, like so, back underneath, like this, back over the top, back underneath. I am pulling these nice and tight as I go. Also note that I get these turns as I'm putting them around here, I've got them laid next to each other. So they're flat, they're laid next to each other, they're nice and neat, as opposed to it being all kind of higgledy-piggledy, just laid anywhere. So I'm just going to repeat that again. So under, and over, and keeping these lashings all nice and neat, all laid next to each other, nice and flat. And so I've now been around 4 times like that, and as I say, I've got these nice and tight in next to each other. So now what I'm going to do is what are known as the frapping turns. So now I'm going to run my cord around here to pull these parts, these turnings in nice and tight. One of the tasks involved in combat engineering was bridge building, sometimes out of prefabricated sections of bridge, sometimes improvised bridges, where we would be using spars that were significantly bigger diameter than this, and correspondingly using cordage that was much bigger, so rope, this kind of diameter. And what we would do then is, as these coils were going on here, and indeed as these frapping turns were going around, we'd have a couple of us pulling that as tight as we could absolutely get it, and then we'd have another person with a club of some description hitting the rope to try to drive it in there and get it as absolutely tight as we possibly could. I'm not going to do that on this occasion. So what I am going to do though, so there's the last of my wrapping turns. So for the frapping turns, I'm now going to go around like so. I'm bringing the cord around here, and I'm going to pull that in as tight as I can get it on each of my frapping turns. Oops. I'm going to pull that nice and tight and just wrap it around here, like so. So you can see, what, as I say, we used to hit it at kind of this point just to enable that extra little bit of tension on the cable, on the rope or cord, whatever we were using. So again, I'm pulling that nice and tight, like so. So I want to put in, generally speaking, for a square lashing, I want to get at least 4 wrapping turns initially, and then I want to get a minimum of 3 frapping turns. If I can go for a few more, then I'm going to do a few more. But this is the bit that's allowing it to get nice and tight. Now there is a potential drawback with any lashing, in fact, in that the cord itself is going to expand and shrink according to the temperature. So right now, where it's quite cold, this cord will be slightly smaller than it will be when it's really hot. So the cord will expand a little bit, which means the lashing itself could come slightly loose with that change in temperature. So lashings are something that need to be maintained. You can't just do them once and that's it. They will contract and whatever the reverse of contracting, expanding as well according to temperature. So I've been around there a few times on these frapping turns, and what I'm going to do now to finish that off is up here. So I'm going to put in a half hitch, so just go around like that and just pop it underneath. So 1, and then a second like that. And so that is the square lashing complete. So started off here with a clove hitch, wrapping turns around it, and then our frapping turns finished off with 2 half hitches. I hope that is of use to you, something that you can take with you on your own bushcraft adventures. I will endeavour to get some more content out next week. Make sure you don't miss out on that. You can subscribe either to our YouTube channel or to our blog, either of which are Jack Raven Bushcraft. In the meantime, take care.